Okay, so I've changed the oil on my Tohatsu after the 10-hour break-in period. I'm sitting at about 60 hours right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it again, and I'm also going to change the lower unit gear oil. This is something I have not done before, so I'm going to refer to the owner's manual. I see a lot of people on YouTube that's just like, do this, do this, do that. I'm going to tell you exactly what they tell you to do, and I might not even do exactly what they tell you to do, but we'll at least see what you're supposed to do. With the motor, you do get a few tools: extra spark plug, a pull cord, a kill switch, and looks like a pin for your prop. They also give you this little tool bag. Not nothing too great. I think most people who have an outboard motor probably will carry a toolbox in their truck because this ain't going to do much, but it'll get the job done. So one thing they did not include was a gasket, and every time you change the oil you're supposed to change the gasket. So what's up, guys? I got a couple more. We'll go ahead and replace those. Let me get the owner's manual and we'll kind of see what they tell you to do. I've got the directions right here that came with the motor. How to change the oil. I'll give you some zoom ins on this here as I'm doing it, but I just want to read it step by step real quick. Step 1. Stop the engine and cool it down. Step 2. Tilt up the outboard motor and lock the tilt with the tilt stopper. Step 3. Turn the steering on the outboard motor so that the drain hole is facing downward. Step 4. Put an oil drain pan under the oil drain screw. Step 5. Remove the oil drain screw and completely drain the oil from the engine. Step 6. Tighten the oil drain screw, applying oil on the sealing surface of the screw. Use a new oil drain washer. Oil drain screw specified torque is 17 foot per pound. And step 7. Reset the engine in a vertical position. Step 8. Repeat 2 to 7 procedures or 2 to 3 times to drain the trapped oil completely. What? Step 2 is tilt the motor up. Okay, step 2 to 7. Well, step 6 is to put the screw back on, so. Alright. But I think what they're saying is tilt the motor over to the side, pick it up, put it down a couple times so the trapped oil can come out. So let me repeat that one more time. Step 8. Repeat 2 to 7 procedures 2 or 3 times to drain the trapped oil completely. Step 9. Remove the top cowl and oil filler cap. Step 10. Fill the engine through filler port with recommended oil. Step 11. Tighten oil filler cap. Only use recommended engine oil. See page 30. So, recommended engine oil. Engine oil viscosity must be selected from the following chart according to the average temperatures in your area. 10W40 is recommended up to 96 degrees and down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit. 10W30 is recommended if it gets up to 86 or lower. So I'm going 10W40. Engine oil volume, approximately 800 milliliters. So now we're going to go over how to change the gear oil in the lower unit. Step 1. Tilt down the outboard motor. Step 2. Remove the oil plugs, lower and upper, and completely drain the gear oil into a pan. Step 3. Insert the oil tube nozzle into the lower oil plug hole and fill with gear oil by squeezing the oil tube or until oil flows out of the top of the upper plug hole and bubbles is disappeared to remove air. And bubbles is disappeared. Okay, let me read that one more time. Step 3. Insert the oil tube nozzle into the lower oil plug hole and fill with gear oil by squeezing the oil tube until oil flows out of the upper plug hole and bubbles is disappeared to remove from air. Use genuine gear oil or the ones recommended. SAE 80 to 90. Required volume approximately 320 milliliters or 10.8 ounces. Step 4. Install the upper oil plug and then remove the oil tube nozzle and install the lower plug. Oil plug specified tightening torque is about 3 foot per pound. Alright, I picked up a couple things that we're going to need. This is the gear lube. I picked up one of these pumps from Amazon. I'll put a link to it. It's pretty cheap. I think it was like $10. Right here on our engine, this is where the oil, you drain the oil. This is the lower unit oil level, and then down here is where to take the oil out. And if I pop the hood, our oil will go right here. So it says to tilt it up, and that's what we're going to do first. By the way, this transom saver is a lifesaver. So I have a little bit of video on that. I'll try to put something together and put it on at the same time. So we've got our oil bucket down here. Okay, so 11/16. Go ahead and let it drain. So while that's draining, now's a good time to make that executive decision on whether or not you want to replace this washer or not. They recommend to do it every single time you change your oil, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just a little metal washer. So I think it recommends to open and close the engine a couple times, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick, and I'm also going to take this off in case there is any built up pressure in there. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it down, bring it back up. And there was more. Go ahead and wipe it down and lift it back up maybe 1 or 2 more times. I feel like it's pretty close, so I'm going to let it back down 1 more time. Brand new washer going on. I'm going to clean this opening up just a little bit real quick. I don't have a torque wrench. So let's check the directions 1 more time. I'll use my master mathematician skills. 17 pounds a foot torque wrench. No problemo. Done. Alright, we'll put our dipstick back in. Grab a funnel and we'll pour some oil. Got a little funnel here from Walmart. I think it's $1. I like it. Pretty good deal. So we're going to go over here into our engine fill. I'm going to be using some Lucas Extreme Duty Outboard engine oil, SAE 10W40 synthetic. The minimum amount is you want to be able to read it on your dipstick. The maximum amount is you want it to be right there on your dipstick. So it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. We're just going to start pouring some in and do it the way I know how. Put about 400 milliliters in here so far. And put just a little bit more. Check the oil. Don't even see any on there yet. Gotta keep going. More. She wants more. A bit. See if that does anything, because I'm not registering any. And I've put in about 600 milliliters. Okay, now we're seeing some oil. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. We're about a little less than halfway. Okay, we're about halfway, which is right where I want to be. So we're going to call that good. Wipe up any excess oil that you might see anywhere. And we're done. For the next part, we're going to replace the lower unit gear oil, gear lube, whatever you want to call it. Should hopefully be a little bit easier. I've got this pump kit that I found on Amazon. It looks like everything's in Chinese, so that's nice. And then some 80 to 90 W gear lube. So we're going to go over this one more time. Tilt down the outboard motor, remove the oil plugs, lower and upper, and completely drain the gear oil into a pan. Insert the oil tube nozzle into the lower plug hole and fill with gear oil by squeezing the oil tube until it flows out of the upper plug hole and bubbles are disappeared to remove the air. Let's get her draining now. So it said lower and upper. Oh, I need a bigger screwdriver. So remember, lower. And upper. Oil level, wash. This hole is if you ever want to wash it, which I'm in freshwater, so I'm not too concerned about that. Looks pretty clean. So we'll get this guy put together real quick. I think you literally just take this and shove this guy in there. Use this adapter to screw on there. If it doesn't fit, they have another metal adapter in there, but we're going to try this. There it comes. So it says to insert the tube nozzle into the lower oil plug, then fill with gear oil by squeezing the oil until it flows out the upper tube. Then put the upper plug in. Might as well see if this works. There it goes. Okay, so filling out hard way, that's the easiest way to do that. Okay. Now screw this back on here. Alright. Start pumping. So we're going to pump until we see it come out of there and there's no more air bubbles. There it comes, so we'll squeeze. Man, that took a lot more than I thought it was. We'll give this a couple more squeezes, one more, just to make sure there's no bubbles. Alright, now we're going to put the top screw back in. Place the washer on it. Top screws back in. Remove the oil tube nozzle and install the lower plug. So this one, I'm assuming I'm going to have to be quick about. Alright, I lost a couple drips there, but that's alright. As you can see, I torqued it to 3 foot a pound. So we're done. Just need to do a little cleaning up. But we're ready to rock now. I think while I'm doing all this, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple other maintenance things that you're supposed to just keep an eye on. Check the fuel filter on the tank. Check all the connections to the fuel lines. Make sure everything's good, but other than that, that's how you change your oil on a Tohatsu 9.8. We'll get this thing back out in the water in the morning, and we'll go from there.